Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all well. Today we are doing a do's and don'ts video, this time of these longer length shorts. I am going to start by saying, I know these shorts are a Marmite piece, so if you don't like a longer length short, you don't need to tell me. You don't need to watch this video. I appreciate that not every item is for every person. And these longer shorts, I don't know really why they're that controversial, but they can be. I personally like them. I think they're quite cool. They're not really a trend piece. I just think they're more in trend at the moment. But I feel like longer shorts have been around for a long time, but they can be a little bit difficult to style. So today it's just some simple do's and don'ts. If you like this style, if you like this trend, then here's how I would style them. So let's start with a do, and I'm going to contrast this in a second with how I wouldn't do this. So this is for evening dressing. However, this comes with a caveat. I think there are certain ways to style these for evening, and as you know, I'm all about fusion styling. This is a term I coined that basically means putting together two things that don't usually work together, but by pairing them together, they just have this kind of relaxed contemporary feel. So I think a casual longer short like this does work for evening, but you need to make sure you're not overdoing it with the pieces that you're wearing. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So this is firstly how I would style it, and I think the key here is pieces that aren't too overdone. So I think one key item is the shoe. I think you need something like a slimmer sandal, something strappier, something that has an innately casual feel. I've also kind of done the same with the jewelry, so nothing too over the top, nothing kind of very evening or dressy. So I've not got loads of metallics on, I've not got loads of kind of diamantes and sparkles. It's very kind of almost minimal daytime chunky jewelry, but because of the sheer black top that I'm wearing, this one is from Dish by the way, all the links for everything will be in the description box as usual. But because the top is a little bit dressier and we've got the heels and the clutch bag, it definitely dresses it up. Again, crucial that the clutch is just like a simple slouchy leather clutch. It's kind of fusion styling enough to give it that dressy feel, but also not too much that you have a really harsh contrast. So I'll show you what I mean in the next look. So in contrast, here is my don't outfit, and that is don't overdo it with evening accessories. So I actually think this whole look would be totally different if I were wearing like a smart tailored pair of shorts. But here we are talking specifically about these casual Bermuda-y style long shorts. This particular pair is denim, but I think with any pair this tip sort of works. I just think it looks too much of a contrast with the more relaxed longer style of shorts. Now I did just put these heels on as quite an obvious and exaggerated example of what not to do, but I think like a formal, very high heel like this is again too jarring against the shorts. I also think it's important, this is a side tip, but obviously I've got the all white at the bottom and then all the black at the top. So we've not got any color sandwich going on, which I definitely think affects the look. But even so, I think a really formal, smart black heel just still feels a little bit too much with these more casual shorts. And we also have the jewelry and accessories, the kind of glittery bag with lots of gold accessories. And again, I just think it feels a little bit too much with the denim shorts, but I would do it in the previous way if I wanted to wear them for evening, and I definitely think that you can. So my next don't is kind of two parts, but the first part is don't style them with anything too cropped. And I think this also goes with a little bit of an addition because it depends what else you're wearing with it. So for example, if you wanted to go down the kind of chunky loafers route like I'm doing here, I think the proportions are quite off because we've got kind of very chunky at the top, very chunky in the middle, and chunky at the bottom. I just think there's something kind of too boxy about each part of the outfit, and it just doesn't flow very naturally. These shorts are a really nice transitional piece as well, by the way, but also for the days when it's maybe a little bit of a breeze in the air, you want a bit of a heavier short, but then it can come warm. These are kind of perfect for that, as I say, that transitional weather as well. But I just think you do need to be a little bit careful, especially when styling with crop jackets. That's not to say you can never style with a crop jacket, but I think especially when you're wanting to do like a chunky shoe, I do quite like the chunky loafer trend with the shorts. It's quite masculine and androgynous, and I think the boxier jacket gives it more of that feel as well. Which brings us very nicely onto our next do, which is do style with a longer jacket instead of a cropped one. So I think this longer, lightweight trench coat creates a bit more fluidity in the outfit because we're taking this kind of beigey colour right down to the bottom of the outfit. It's less blocky than the crop jacket, but you can still kind of see your leg and the whole outfit underneath. I think because we've got these chunkier pieces, it creates more fluidity within the outfit, and I just really like the combination of shorts and a trench coat together. And again, I feel like this is like a perfect transitional look. I think the key is a lightweight trench because you're not going to want to wear a big heavy trench when you're wearing denim shorts, but a lightweight layer like this in a longer length is a really nice easy transitional look, and definitely a way you can wear a jacket with these shorts. So next is don't be afraid to go all oversized, but do make sure you style it in the right way. So no, I probably wouldn't wear a really oversized shirt like this or a really oversized t-shirt loose and untucked. I just feel like there's too much fabric going on, but I do think oversized works when you tuck it in. The key is to kind of tucking it fully in, but then like ruching it and puffing it out a little bit. So you still get the oversized feel, but obviously a little bit more nipped in. Then obviously there are a few tips and tricks to then cinch this even more and just make it work really nicely with the shorts. And obviously that is by adding a belt. It just adds that waist definition, which I definitely think is key to these shorts. Adding a bit of waist definition can kind of give them a bit more of a feminine feel. And the same with a shoe. So I've gone for a flip-flop style with a bit of a heel, a low heel, but just very simple and minimal. It doesn't have to be with a heel, it could be with a flat. If you are somebody who's a little bit afraid of oversized, then I think the key way to do this is by going for maybe slightly daintier accessories with your oversized shirt or top and the shorts. Okay, let's talk about shoes. And my next don't is don't pair these longer shorts with anything that cuts you off at the ankle. So this next bit is absolutely crucial. I don't mean you can't wear these shorts with a chunky shoe. I did it before with the chunkier loafer. I think a chunkier shoe and these shorts can work when styled in the right way. I think it can look really cool. However, I think the key point is anything around the ankle. I think the shoe needs to start kind of below the ankle so that you can actually see the ankle, and that your eye line is taken right down to quite far past the ankle. So these shoes obviously cut me off completely. They just look so unflattering. They don't complement the style of the shorts at all. It makes the outfit feel really bottom heavy. I think these shorts suit something longer, like a long flowing skirt, a lot better. And it's just not working for me, so much so that I just can't wait to get them off and style this with something else. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of different examples, but obviously this shoe is a lot more flattering, and again, that is because you can see the ankle. It's a fully closed shoe, a full ballet flat, but it is quite a delicate one and the ankles are exposed. So I think it doesn't really matter whether the shoe is more of a sandal or more of a full shoe. I think as long as you can see that ankle, it makes all the difference. And then just as another example, I've got this strappier sandal on, and they do have straps kind of near the ankles, but they're not like wrapped around the ankle. They're not cutting me off anywhere. They're like a lower strap. These are from my collection with Naked. They're also much more of a delicate strap. I think that's definitely key with the other sandals. We had the very chunky sandal and the cut-off ankle strap together was kind of like a double whammy. So this more delicate, but also the straps are lower on the foot, I think just makes all the difference. And finally, I do think you need to style these shorts intentionally. I think if you style it a little bit too simply like this, it can be in danger of looking like, you know, there's no fashion element to it, because essentially they're just plain long shorts. And I think styled in this very undone casual way can look a little bit, not unflattering, but I can't think of the word I'm looking for. But I guess what I mean is unintentional, whereas we want them to look like fashion shorts, not just kind of shorts that you don't care about. So definitely think you need to style it with maybe some fashion forward accessories. That doesn't have to be anything out there, but just a few intentional pieces to make the look more interesting. So this is where accessories really come into their own, especially some slightly more trend-led ones like a chunky pendant necklace. So I guess the last one is do style with trend accessories. So I've got my big slouchy suede bag on from Flattered. Same sandals as before, this big chunky cuff from COS, and then this necklace is also from COS, and my Celine sunglasses. But I just feel like that has made all the difference to the entire outfit, as opposed to the other one just with the flip-flops and no jewelry on. Even if you took the bag off, you've still got the jewelry and the shoes to complete the outfit. So definitely be more mindful of the pieces that you pair them with. And this outfit is still very summery, much like the last one, but just a little bit more stylized. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, found it useful. I think a lot of these tips can apply to all shapes of shorts in general, to be honest. Let me know if there are any other pieces you would like to see styled. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.